Somewhere in Lancaster County, there is a garden bed that has not been tilled for 40 years. No tiller has ever touched it. No bottle of chemical herbicide has ever been opened here. Yet the soil is still dark and crumbly. It looks exactly like a freshly baked chocolate cake. Weeds are almost non-existent. But hundreds of miles away, millions of gardeners wake up to frustration. The crabgrass has returned. The thistles are starting to invade the garden again. They spray and pull weeds constantly to no avail. Every beautiful spring morning turns into a back-breaking chore. Countless weekends are wasted on a never-ending battle. The global herbicide market now earns tens of billions of dollars a year. This is not a coincidence. It is a very carefully calculated business model. They do not sell a permanent weed solution. They only kill weeds temporarily so you keep buying chemicals next season. But in Amish country, tens of thousands of people have quietly stepped out of this loop. They grow abundant food year after year. They do not spend a single dime on commercial weed killers. Their secret is not exotic or expensive. It is an incredibly simple system. The modern gardening industry has no reason to promote this method. The Amish call this the no-till forever method. Many top agricultural universities have now validated the science behind it. Everything starts with the most common mistake made every spring. The tillers are brought out of the shed, the engines roar, and the blades tear up the ground. The churned soil looks fluffy and clean. The gardener wipes off sweat and proudly looks at the result. It looks like a perfect fresh start for the new season. But the reality is completely the opposite. That freshly tilled bed is the biggest reason weeds keep coming back. This is a mistake that even gardeners with 40 years of experience still make. Recent studies have uncovered a truth hidden deep underground. Just 1 square meter of farm soil can hold tens of thousands of weed seeds. Imagine a small patch of dirt the size of a dinner plate. Thousands of tiny seeds are tightly packed under there. Scientists call this the underground weed seed bank. These seeds have astonishing endurance. A single common weed plant can produce tens of thousands of seeds in one season. Most of these seeds lie dormant underground for decades. They survive in complete darkness and wait for an opportunity. These buried seeds only need 2 things to wake up. They need a little moisture and a quick flash of sunlight. Every time a tiller slices the ground, it reaches into that dark vault. It scoops the seeds up to the surface. It accidentally provides the light that the seeds have been patiently waiting for. This is like reaching into a bag of 10,000 lottery tickets. The only difference is that the gardener is always the loser. But the damage does not stop at weed seeds. Dr. Elaine Ingham has spent her life studying the soil food web. Think of the soil beneath as a vast, living city. There are roads, delivery routes, and communication lines there. This network runs between plant roots to nourish them. When a tiller sweeps through it, it's like a destructive earthquake. It levels every building and cuts off every transportation route. The most damaged victims are the symbiotic fungal networks. They are called arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi. These microscopic networks attach directly to plant roots. They help plants access water and minerals at depths roots cannot reach. Think of them as the soil's plumbing system. When this system is destroyed, plants will always be thirsty. Even if you water right next to it, the plant cannot receive it. These fungi also secrete a natural biological glue called glomalin. This substance binds soil particles into porous, airy clumps. It helps the soil hold both air and water. Destroying the fungi is destroying the most sustainable soil structure. By midsummer, the promising-looking garden bed turns into hard clay. It cracks under the heat and sheds water like a concrete slab. The Amish approach begins with a bold decision. They decided to retire the tiller permanently. Let the buried seeds lie still in the dark. Let the fungal networks have time to rebuild themselves. Let the soil do what healthy soil is meant to do. But without tilling, how do you start a new vegetable bed? How do you manage weeds without chemicals or machinery? The answer lies in something we often throw in the trash every week. This is the revolution of cardboard sheets. Look at a virgin forest and observe the ground. The ground there is never bare. Fallen leaves, rotting twigs, and plant debris form a continuous blanket. That blanket performs three critical functions at once. It smothers weed sprouts before they can even start. It nourishes the microorganisms beneath the cover. It traps moisture so the soil never dries out completely. Nature perfected this system a long time ago. The Amish simply copy it using plain brown cardboard. The step-by-step process is incredibly simple and amazing. First, you do not need to break your back pulling or cutting old weeds. Just mow the existing vegetation as close to the ground as possible. Then, water the entire area thoroughly. Watering is not just for providing moisture. It wakes up soil biology and signals the earthworms. They will understand that something interesting is about to happen on the surface. The next step is to lay down flat sheets of cardboard. Remember to remove all tape stickers or glossy printed parts. There is one detail that determines success or failure here. The edges of each sheet must overlap by at least 15 centimeters. Weeds are opportunistic creatures that never give up. Just a hair-thin gap is enough for light to leak through. Weeds will find that gap and push through within days. Why use cardboard instead of plastic mulch sold in stores? Because cardboard does two things that plastic can never do. First, cardboard is completely opaque to light. It blocks 100% of the sunlight hitting the ground. It immediately turns off the switch for the underground weed seed bank. Without light stimulation, existing weeds will die in the darkness. 15,000 buried seeds will continue to sleep. The second thing is something that makes researchers extremely excited. When the cardboard lies in the dark and damp, it becomes a food source. It is an irresistible cellulose feast for earthworms. The call of decomposition draws earthworms to the surface. They dig tunnels through the compacted soil. They are tilling and aerating the soil for you completely for free. They leave behind worm castings along the paths they travel. This is the most nutrient-rich, natural fertilizer known to man. After about 4 to 6 months, the cardboard will fully decompose, and it vanishes into the earth just when it is no longer needed. In contrast, plastic mulch will stay there forever. It slowly suffocates the life of the microorganisms underneath. Eventually, it tears into ragged scraps, and you have to pick them up by hand. To complete this system, the Amish add organic layers. Typically, they spread a 5 to 10 centimeter thick layer of nitrogen-rich compost. Next is a carbon-rich protective mulch layer on the very top. It could be straw or collected autumn leaves or wood chips. Dr. Christine Jones has proven the power of this multi-layered system. It protects soil biology through both heavy rains and harsh droughts. It creates a resilience that chemically treated soil never has. Many will be surprised to learn that planting does not require waiting. You don't need to wait months for the cardboard to break down. You can start planting on that very same day. Just use a utility knife to cut a small X in the cardboard. Peel the edges back and place the seedling in the soil hole below. Fold the cardboard edges back snugly around the plant stem. The result of this method is truly impressive. Plants will grow vigorously from the very early stages. The amount of weeds decreases miraculously from day one. The cardboard method has solved the weed problem from top to bottom. But how do we maximize the potential of each individual plant? That requires us to look deeper inside the planting hole. This is where even longtime gardeners make mistakes. There is an invisible barrier that prevents plants from growing fast. The water is consistent and the fertilizer is abundant. The plants look okay, but they don't really explode. They just sit there in a mediocre state season after season. Leaves are pale green instead of a vibrant, deep green. Fruit is often small and scarce compared to its potential. The culprit of this situation is completely invisible to the naked eye. Nutrients are present in the soil, but they are locked up. Imagine the soil like a pantry full of food. But every cabinet door is padlocked shut. The food is right there, but the plants cannot reach it. The main culprit is the imbalance of soil pH. Many longtime gardeners solve this very intelligently. They use two seemingly useless things: coffee grounds and wood ash. However, there is a trap that almost everyone falls into. If used incorrectly, they will do more harm than good. Coffee grounds are a fantastic fertilizer for the soil. They provide nitrogen and attract earthworms very quickly. They also stimulate microorganisms to act vigorously. But using too much coffee grounds will make the soil acidic. The soil pH will gradually be dragged down. When the soil is too acidic, important nutrients will be locked up. Plants will have difficulty absorbing necessary calcium and phosphorus. To rebalance, the Amish use ash from hardwoods. They never use ash from coal or painted wood. Those contain toxic chemicals for the vegetable garden. Wood ash is an extremely abundant source of potassium and calcium. It helps tomato and pepper plants build strong cell walls. It helps the fruit grow larger and have a richer flavor. A common mistake is sprinkling dry ash directly into the planting hole. Dry wood ash has a very strong alkalinity. When it meets the nitrogen in coffee grounds, a chemical reaction occurs. The alkalinity turns precious nitrogen into ammonia gas. Nutrients will evaporate before the plant can use them. Furthermore, a sudden spike in pH can burn young roots. The heirloom secret of the Amish is very subtle. They do not use dry ash but convert it into a liquid form. Just 2 tablespoons of wood ash mixed into a liter of water. Let this mixture rest overnight. By the next morning, the minerals have completely dissolved. The water will be milky white and very safe to use. When planting, put a handful of coffee grounds at the bottom of the hole. Then, pour some wood ash water over the coffee grounds. The chemical reaction now takes place very gently. The alkaline minerals will neutralize the acidity of the coffee. The pH will settle at the ideal level to unlock nutrients. Plant roots will receive resources immediately upon contact. Nitrogen from coffee and calcium from ash will nourish the plant. You will see deeper green leaves after just a few weeks. The difference compared to untreated plants is very clear. Dr. Jerry Hatfield has spent decades researching this. He asserts that soil chemical balance determines plant health. When the soil is balanced, the plant's immune system works at its peak. Plants resist pests and diseases better than any spray. This technique takes you less than 5 minutes. It costs nothing and gives the plant the strongest start. But what about the winter months? That is when the Amish use a miraculous plant. Leaving the soil bare and exposed after harvest is a serious mistake. Bare soil is like a public invitation for weeds to take over. Nature always finds a way to cover any open ground with what grows fastest. In most gardens, that means weeds will invade the space. Instead of leaving the vegetable beds empty, the Amish sow a special cover crop. This is cereal rye, also known as common winter rye. Researchers at Cornell University have documented a fascinating biological phenomenon. This phenomenon is called allelopathy, or plant antagonism. As cereal rye grows, it quietly produces special chemical compounds. These compounds are created right within the roots and leaves of the rye. When the rye plants begin to decompose, these compounds release directly into the soil. Their impact on weeds is truly a disaster for the invaders. Studies show that it can inhibit the germination of many stubborn weeds. Its ability to suppress weeds can reach up to 95%. This is nearly absolute weed control achieved through biological methods. You achieve this result without needing any bottle of chemicals. Managing this crop in the spring is also incredibly simple. About 3 to 4 weeks before planting the new crop, just cut the rye at the base. Let the entire plant body lie flat on the ground like a golden carpet. Never till the soil so that the fungal networks beneath remain intact. This rye carpet now performs 3 tasks at the same time. It completely blocks sunlight from allowing weed seeds to germinate. It helps retain up to 30% of soil moisture by reducing evaporation. It continues to release natural weed killers as the stems decompose slowly. You just need to cut small holes in this mat to set the seedlings down. Cereal rye seeds are easy to buy at agricultural supply stores. Just a light scattering of seeds on the bed in early fall is enough. The rye will germinate quickly and grow throughout the winter without care. One planting in the fall saves you months of weeding the following year. Cereal rye effectively solves the weed problem on a large scale. But what about the thousands of tiny weed seeds lurking on the surface? For crops grown from seeds like carrots or radishes, this is a challenge. These plants are fragile and easily overwhelmed by weeds from the start. The Amish have a strategy called creating a stale seed bed. This method works exactly like a very carefully set trap. The garden bed is prepared as if planting day has arrived. The soil is raked smooth and watered deeply to create the best conditions. But then the gardener will not sow any seeds at all. They simply walk away and wait patiently for 1 week. During that time, thousands of weed seeds will be fooled by the moisture. They germinate eagerly, thinking that their time has finally come. When the tiny weed sprouts have just emerged, that is when the trap snaps shut. At this point, the weed sprouts are very weak and have almost no root system. You just need to use a steel hoe to lightly scrape the top layer of soil. 5 minutes of gentle work will wipe out an entire generation of weeds. The secret lies in the fact that you must only scrape very shallowly. If you scrape too deep, you will bring new seeds up from below, and the whole weed cycle will start all over again from the beginning. Repeating this process twice will clean the weeds up to 70%. The door to the garden has been locked right in front of the weeds' noses. For the spaces between tall crops, the Amish use another defensive layer. They use a living plant cover for these areas of ground. The most common choice is white Dutch clover. Clover seeds are sown directly between the rows when the main crop is established. Once it grows, this clover brings 3 massive benefits at the same time. It forms a dense living carpet to completely cover the soil surface. This carpet leaves no room for weeds to invade the space. It pulls nitrogen directly from the atmosphere through root nodules. This nitrogen is released directly into the soil to feed neighboring plants. You have a natural and continuous source of fertilizer without spending a cent. Its tiny white flowers attract hundreds of pollinating insects. This significantly helps increase the yields of tomatoes and peppers. But the most interesting benefit of this cover happens at night. A study from Cornell University discovered this nocturnal army. These are ground beetles that are night predators living under the straw. They find safe shelter under the clover carpet and decaying straw. When night falls, they begin their patrol on the ground surface. These beetles consume up to 65% of the weed seeds on the surface. While the gardener is fast asleep, these warriors are cleaning the garden. They destroy the next generation of weeds before they have a chance to sprout. The combination of seed traps and beetles brings incredible results. Your crops have a maximum chance to grow without any chemicals. You will no longer wake up with backaches from weeding chores. There is a quiet power when you see all of these things combined. When the tiller is put away and the cardboard is laid down, when coffee grounds and wood ash replace store-bought products, when cereal rye and clover begin to fulfill their missions, when earthworms and ground beetles are allowed to do nature's work. Gardening at this point is no longer a stressful battle. It becomes a rhythmic cooperation between humans and the ground. This is a dialogue where both sides understand each other perfectly. The Amish have understood this for many generations. They do not fight the soil but learn to listen to its breath. Now modern science is confirming their wisdom with factual data. Abandoning the plow and covering the ground is the most sustainable farming. Nourishing soil biology instead of poisoning it with chemicals. These are not shortcuts or temporary compromises. This is simply the way a healthy agriculture is meant to function. Every technique in this video shares one very important thing in common. They work with nature instead of trying to fight against it. All of these methods are completely free for everyone to use. You do not need special equipment or annual chemical subscriptions. You only need subtle observation and a little bit of patience. Let the soil do what it has known how to do for millions of years. This method saves you both labor and money. It builds a black soil, rich in vitality for future generations. It is a precious legacy not measured in money, but in soil fertility. If this video changed your gardening mindset, please share it. Send it to a friend who is tired of chemical spray bottles. Thank you for spending your valuable time with Rooted Grace. In addition to the above techniques, the Amish also have a way to test soil at home. You do not need to send soil samples to expensive laboratories. They use an ancient method called the glass jar test. All you need is a clean glass jar, some water, and a handful of garden soil. Fill the jar halfway with soil, then fill it with water and shake vigorously. Let that glass jar sit undisturbed for the next 24 hours. The components in the soil will layer themselves according to their weight. The heaviest sand layer will settle to the bottom of the jar first. Next is the fine silt layer, and on top is a thin layer of clay. Lighter organic debris will float on top of the water surface. By looking at the thickness of the layers, you will know what your soil lacks. And if the clay layer is too thick, your soil will be very prone to waterlogging. If the sand layer predominates, water will drain away too quickly along with nutrients. The Amish adjust this structure by adding organic mulch continuously. They never try to change the soil using artificial chemicals. Another secret lies in the technique of underground watering from below. Instead of watering the leaves, they use unglazed terracotta pots. These pots are called olas and are not coated with any glaze. They bury these pots in the ground right next to the roots of the crops. Fill the jars with water and put the lid on to prevent evaporation. Water will slowly seep through the terracotta walls into the ground. Plant roots will automatically reach for this moisture source naturally. This watering method saves up to 70% of regular irrigation water. It keeps the soil surface dry to limit weed germination. More importantly, it prevents fungal diseases from spreading through the leaves. The Amish are also very skillful in planting mutually beneficial pairs. They call these good friends in the plant world. Tomatoes and basil are not just delicious when on the same food plate. When planted together, basil helps repel hornworms that damage tomatoes. It also helps the flavor of the tomatoes become richer when harvested. Marigolds are an indispensable sentry in the Amish garden. The roots of marigolds secrete substances that repel harmful nematodes in the soil. The scent of the flowers also distracts leaf-eating insects. They plant sunflowers at the edge of the garden to serve as trellises for pole beans. Sunflowers also act as trap crops to draw aphids away from young vegetables. This diversity creates a self-balancing and sustainable ecosystem. The gardener no longer has to worry about spraying pesticides. Every creature in the garden has its own role and place. They even utilize natural teas for foliar feeding of the plants. Compost is soaked in water for several days to create a concentrated extract. This liquid contains billions of microorganisms beneficial for plant growth. When sprayed on leaves, it creates a protective film against fungal diseases. It provides liquid nutrition for immediate absorption by the plant. Every action of the Amish is directed towards the preservation of life. They consider the soil a living organism and not a dead material. This wisdom has helped them survive and prosper for centuries. While modern agriculture is facing many challenges today, land is degraded and polluted by various chemical fertilizers. The Amish method offers a new ray of hope for everyone. It reminds us of the power of simplicity and harmony with nature. Seed saving is an integral part of Amish culture. They never buy hybrid seeds from large corporations. Instead, they manually select the best seeds from the previous harvest. These seeds are called heirloom seeds or heritage seeds. Over decades, these seeds have perfectly adapted to local soil conditions. They have natural pest resistance without the need for chemical intervention. Saving seeds allows them to be completely self-sufficient with their food source. They preserve seeds in sealed glass jars in a dry and cool place. Another ancient secret they still apply is planting according to moon cycles. It sounds strange, but modern science has begun to decode this phenomenon. The moon does not only affect the tides in the vast oceans, its gravitational pull also strongly impacts the moisture within the soil. When the moon is full, the pull draws water closer to the soil surface. This is the most ideal time to sow seeds that grow above the ground. Conversely, when the moon is waning, the water retreats deeper below the roots. This is the perfect stage for planting root crops like potatoes or carrots. Syncing with the rhythms of the universe helps plants grow at their strongest. The Amish consider gardening a spiritual practice and an exercise in patience. They do not rush to seek immediate results at any cost. They understand that the land needs time to rest and regain its strength. Their garden beds are never exhausted by overexploitation of labor. While industrial agriculture focuses only on the extraction of resources, the Amish focus on the stewardship and conservation of resources for the future. This sustainability is the key that helps them overcome all eras of change. You can start applying these things right in your own small garden. You do not need to be a professional farmer to create a real change. Just a few cardboard sheets and a little patience this spring will do. Try to stop tilling a small patch of land and observe the difference. You will see tiny creatures starting to return to your piece of land. Earthworms will do the hardest work underground on your behalf. Fungal networks will silently connect and nourish the plant roots. Weeds will no longer be a terrifying obsession every single morning. The garden will become a place for you to enjoy peace and relaxation. You will save a lot of money originally intended for chemicals and fertilizers. More importantly, you will have clean and nutritious meals for your family. Gardening the Amish way is a journey back to our ancient roots. It reminds us that humans are part of the natural ecosystem. We do not master nature, but we are the protectors of it. Every seed you sow is a promise for a much brighter future. The earth will repay you with bountiful harvests and overflowing vitality. Let the love for the land guide every action you take in the garden. Do not fear making mistakes, because every failure is a lesson from nature. Observe how the young sprouts stretch themselves through the damp cardboard. That is the power of life that no machine can ever create. Cherish every ground beetle and every single white Dutch clover flower. They are the silent allies that help your garden to truly prosper. The world needs more gardeners who know how to listen to the ground. Start your journey today with confidence and a sense of appreciation. Your garden will be a small paradise amidst this noisy and busy world. These values will be passed down to your children through the soil itself. The revival of the land is the revival of our own health as well. When we heal the land will heal our souls in return. Look at the contrast between an industrial field and an Amish garden bed. One side is arid and dependent on loud and heavy machinery. The other side is a vibrant silence filled with the sounds of nature. We are so used to conquering and controlling everything around us. It is time we learn to live in peace with even the smallest creatures. Every sheet of cardboard you lay down is a shield for underground life. Every handful of coffee grounds you apply is a gift to the earthworms. This journey does not require you to change everything immediately. Start with a small vegetable bed in the backyard or a few pots on the balcony. The feeling of touching the dark and crumbly soil is a sacred thing. It is the connection that our ancestors maintained for thousands of years. The Amish have proven that we do not need complex technologies. The greatest power lies in the simplest and most sustainable principles. A chemical-free garden is a paradise for bees and butterflies. It is a place where children can freely play and explore the natural world. You will realize that weeds are not enemies, but helpful indicators. They tell you what the soil lacks and how it needs to be cared for. Replace the fear of weeds with understanding and compassion. When the ecosystem in the garden reaches balance, everything will run itself. You will have more time to admire the fruits of your labor. Juicy tomatoes and lush green vegetables will be your worthy rewards. This is not just a gardening method, but a whole philosophy of life. Slow down to listen to the quiet heartbeats of Mother Earth. Let's create a green wave starting from our own small gardens. Great change always begins with the smallest and quietest actions. Do not let chemical advertisements cloud your natural instincts. You have the ability to create a clean food source for your family. Believe in the miraculous healing power of nature all around you. The Amish have kept this flame burning bright for centuries. Now is the time for us to receive and spread that flame even further. Every coming spring will be a new opportunity for you to start over. Let the tiller rest in the shed and let the cardboard perform its magic. Your garden will become a testament to the wisdom of nature. We are the guardians and inheritors of these sustainable values. Be proud because you are contributing to building a better world. Step by step, we will turn arid lands into lush green oases. Your perseverance today will be the happiness of future generations. Cherish every heirloom seed that you hold in your hand. They contain the entire history and hope of all humanity. Thank you for accompanying us throughout this long and meaningful journey. Hope the secrets of the Amish will be helpful for your garden. Do not forget to share your success stories with the community. We will learn and grow stronger together every single day. Let the love for nature always burn bright in your heart and your garden. Goodbye to the tillers and welcome the fluffiness of Mother Earth. Wish you have bountiful harvests and a life full of joy. See you again in our next journeys of knowledge discovery.